what they are. They are matriarchies. Now I would like to invite for this panel, the fourth panel, West and South Africa. I would invite you, Wilhelmina Donkoh from Ghana, West Africa. And I would like to invite you, Gad Osafo, also from Ghana, from Donkoh. And I would like to invite you, Cecil Keller. She is not from Africa, she's from Switzerland, but she is speaking about matriarchal medicine. And I would like to invite Yvette Abrahams from South Africa, from the Koe. And I would like to invite Bernadette Mutian from the Khoisan of South Africa. We have again a big panel this morning, and we will have in between a break, and after all the 5 speakers have spoken, then we will have questions and answers. So please don't be worried when we make a break and didn't have questions and answers. It will come at the end of this panel. Our first speaker this morning is Wilhelmina J. Donkoh. She has been teaching history at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, Ghana, since 1979. For several years, she has been head of history section at the same university. Her research on colonialism and cultural change in Asante earned her a master's degree and a PhD degree from the University of Birmingham, the United Kingdom, in 1990 and 1994, respectively. She has published extensively in academic journals and contributed chapters to several other publications. Dr. Donkoh has traveled Ghana's history and has traveled extensively, researching and speaking on a wide range of topics concerning Ghana's history and culture, focusing on tradition and modernity. She has served on several committees, both within the university and outside. Her involvement in outreach programs has been extensive and is currently the chair of the History, Archives and Library Subcommittee of the Kumasi Diocese of the Methodist Church of Ghana. Welcome, Wilhelmina.
Thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to thank you for the organizers for inviting me to this wonderful meeting. I'm very privileged indeed to be here today. I want to share 2 experiences, very recent experiences with you before I proceed. First, when I arrived at New York for the conference, the immigration officer asked me, "What are you here for?" And I said, "I'm attending a conference." "On what?" I said, "Matriarchal societies." What's that supposed to be? Now, briefly, societies that are ruled by women. "Oh yeah, I know where that is." "Where is that?" "My home." First it was my mom, and then it was my wife. Well, that's that for you. Then the second experience experience was yesterday when I was talking to one of my colleagues who will be presenting today, and she said, how are we going to measure up to all these grand ideas that were given out today? And I said, well, we are talking about our societies, so we have to proceed from the heart. Amen. So this morning, I'm going to talk to you from the heart. If I don't propound any grand theories, any grand schemes, please forgive me. Just take me for what I am. I'm telling you about my people. And I'm speaking from the heart. I want to share with you this morning ideas about female leadership among the Asante, but maybe before I go into female leadership, maybe I need to give you a background about who the Asante are and a bit about their social institutions, their peculiarities, and then maybe give you 4 cases of women leaders, to show you the kinds of leaders that these people have had in the past. The Asante constitute one of the principal groups of the matrilineal Akan-speaking people of the modern state of Ghana. An identifying characteristic of the Akan is descent through the female line. Traditionally, such important social and economic institutions and customary practices such as marriage, ownership of property, and inheritance have been based on blood affiliation to the matrilineal. Females among the Akan are expected to play a unique role in ensuring the perpetuation of the lineage and in identifying who qualifies to be a member. At the same time, as could be found in other traditional societies, social, economic, and political responsibilities usually tend to be gender-specific. In other words, there's a role for men also to play. Thus, to talk about Asante society or even the Akan society as being matriarchal has to be qualified. This paper attempts to provide a theoretical framework that supports a view that female leaders among the Asante played a central role within Asante socio-political system. And as I said, in this paper, I'll talk more about women who transcend what is normally regarded to be gender boundaries. Women who operated as diplomats, political heads, refugee leaders, and also military heads. Sorry, if I go through everything, I won't have enough time, so I have to skip some of this stuff. The term matriarchy, as used, if used for the Akan and the Asante, has to be qualified because the unique position of that women occupy in Asante society does not suggest that women actually created this Akan and Asante cultures on their own, but that they did so in collaboration with their menfolk. Asante social system is based on an intricate network of relationships which recognizes the position of the woman as being very central, as being very important, but at the same time acknowledges the role that the man plays in the society. However, the genesis of Asante society suggests that in the beginning were mothers, and thus the genesis of Asante society is usually traced to a mother figure. reflected in the various accounts of origins of the Asante. Whether they named an ancestress or not, somehow the presence of a female is always acknowledged in the various accounts of origins of the Asante. For example, one popular oral account has it that a woman descended from the skies, supported by golden fetters and a retinue of people. And when she landed on Earth, she came into contact with a hunter. The hunter was scared, but the hunter was encouraged to draw near. When the hunter approached, the woman told her her name was Anchao Nyame. Nyame in Akan or in Asante language means God. Anchao Nyame invited the hunter to bring other people to meet her the following day to witness a wondrous sight. The hunter agreed to do so. Following day he came, but Anchao Nyame did not show up. The next we hear of this woman, she had landed some distance away, and there she decided to settle. And subsequently, she had children. It is not very clear who her husband was, but for some time, Anchao Nyame became the leader of a community. The account has it that she did produce children, but who fathered them is not very clear. Thus, in the account conception of origins, the father is not as important as the mother figure. The mother became very important. However, the sons of Anchao Nyame subsequently became the leaders of this group. There's another account also of Asante origins, which also says that 7 men and several women emerged from the earth, and one of the men became the leader of this group. The oral traditions has it that the men from the ground and the women became the founders of the 7 Ebusua. Among the basis of Akan and Asante social organization is the Ebusua or the clan. And membership of the Ebusua or the clan is through the maternal line. And here we are told that the women who emerged from the ground became the founders of 7 Ebusua or 7 lineages. Sometimes Ebusua translates as clan, sometimes Ebusua translates as lineage. The various Ebusua groups built huts or founded settlements on the first day. The leader of the group died. And on the third day, they decided to constitute day of the death of the leader into an oath or dabone, so that on that day, that day was considered a sacred day devoted to the leader of the group. The account further adds that there was a dog with the group, and this dog went out and came back with fire in its mouth. The fire was used to cook food. After being fed with the cooked food, the dog gained weight. So the people realized that cooked food was good for eating, and they started to cook their food. Who were those responsible for cooking the food? It was the women folk among them who started cooking the food. Now, let me quickly tell you about the Asante social system. Now that at least I've given you a brief idea about the belief about the origins of the Asante. As I said before, the basis of Asante social system is the Ebusua, which translates as the clan or the lineage. However, when you look at it, the lineage starts with a female ancestress, and all members of a common lineage or a common clan, if it's a clan, they believe that they all descended from a common anthropomorphic ancestress, and if it's the lineage, it's always a named, known ancestress that they all descended from. Every Asante, therefore, belongs to an Ebusua and traces its origin to one female. The Asante, like all other Akan-speaking people, also believe that every human being has three elements. These elements are Moja, blood, Sum, spirit, and destiny, in Krabia. They believe that every person inherits their blood from their mother, the Sum or the spirit from the father, and then the Supreme Being gives them, determines their Krabia or their destiny at the point of birth. Thus, what all members of one Ebusua have in common is the blood coursing through their veins that they are given only by their mothers. The father never gives blood to a child, according to the Akan worldview. The Akan further believe that while one could be certain about who one's mother is, the same certainty cannot be expressed about one's father. Thus, all children born to a mother belong to the same lineage or Ebusua. No child ever belongs to their father's Ebusua. Their father gives them his spirit and therefore provides protection to the child, and such attributes as bravery, courage, and so on and so forth is inherited from the father. Thus, within the Akan social system, they have notion of a mother, a father, siblings, uncles, and grandparents. They have no notion of cousins and aunts. All mothers and mother sisters are mothers, generically. Likewise, all mothers, sisters, children are generically brothers and sisters. And this becomes very important when it comes to assumption to leadership positions, offices, and also inheritance of property. That while a mother, sister's children are members of one's Ebusua, children of one's brother and her own sons are not members of the Ebusua. Thus, although marriage between members of the Ebusua group is strictly forbidden because it's incestuous, mothers, brothers, children are encouraged to marry fathers, sisters, children. That is cross-cousin marriages. Very well accepted and in fact encouraged. Traditionally, matriarchality is the preferred living arrangement pattern among the Asante. And note I said preferred because when people marry within the community, then matriarchality is practiced. But if you married outside the community, then you may have to go outside and live with your husband. But where that happens, the woman may still have to come back to the Ebusia Fie. That Fie means the home. So the ancestral home, you always have to come back to the ancestral home. Sometimes the group may have more than one house. That is, Ebusia may have more than one house within the community. But where that happens, the oldest of their houses is referred to as the Fiepenyi, or the oldest home, and that is the ancestral home. Now, what are the significant cultural characteristics of the Asante apart from the Ebusian system? Asante culture is based on a complex belief system that acknowledges 3 levels of human existence: the future, in which are the unborn children, which is in the spirit realm; the present, or the physical existence in which we find ourselves today; and then life after death, that is also in the spiritual realm. They also believe in a pantheon of spirit beings, sometimes referred to as divinities, deities, fetishes, or lesser gods in Western literature. They believe that natural phenomena such as rocks, mountains, rivers, and lakes are the dwelling places of these deities, who may be either male or female. In addition to these is a supreme being who created everything. This supreme being, in Akan and Asante thought, is a male known as Onyankopon Kwame, that is the Great One, born on a Saturday. He has many accolades and attributes, such as Ochediampon, the omnipotent one, the one on whom when we rely, we do not fall. Amensu, the giver of water; Amori, the giver of sunlight. In addition, they look on the earth as being the dwelling place of an important female spiritual being that they refer to as Asasiya, that is the earth born on a Thursday. Forces in the spiritual realm impact directly and indirectly on the lives and affairs of people in the physical realm. The idea of there being male and female spiritual beings in Asante and Akan cosmology is derived from the sense of achieving balance through harmony. Reproduction is a very important concern in Asante society. The concept of rebirth is very strong among the Asante. Their persons may be directly reborn as children to the same Ebusian, or sometimes to the same patrilineage. Women in Asante and generally Akan societies are greatly respected because they have a crucial function of reproduction that ensures the continuity of the lineage and ultimately the community. In other words, they ensure the renewal and prolongation of the life of the lineage, which constitutes the basic concept of the matrilineal view of life. Akan Asante sociocultural system also acknowledges the dualistic principles of good and evil. These concepts manifest in such acts and thoughts that either seek the welfare of the community or, on the contrary, undermine the well-being of the same group. This moral value is not applied, this moral value is not gendered. In other words, the female it's not like the female is good and the male is bad, but that they coexist and create harmony and balance. Akan Asante society, therefore, is dualistically structured in this respect. Thus, the Asante do not regard one sex as being inferior or weaker to the other, but that each has its own specific role to play. However, Akan society is very religious and acknowledges spiritual involvement and influence in all that they do. As for example, inviting the ancestors to participate in every meal. Thus, the first morsel of every meal is thrown on the floor. We modernists don't do it, but the older people tend to do it. The first morsel of every food is thrown on the floor, and the first drop of every drink is poured on the ground. And as you saw God do this morning, during libations, it's like a communion affair. And when he poured, he didn't pour everything away, but he kept some which he drank. In other words, he's inviting the spirits, the ancestors, to be present, and he is there with them, sharing with them. In fact, the Akan and the Asante believe in the importance of harmony, balance, and being in tune with nature. Therefore, on the cultural level, Akan and the Asante society could be described as being sacred. In other words, in everything that they do, they acknowledge God. And if you were to go to Ghana today and you look on inscriptions on vehicles and so on and so forth, you'll see signs like God is supreme, in God we trust. You know, almost everything they do, they mention the name of God. Again, when it comes to ownership of property, Asante women may have the power of disposition over property of the Ebusua. They and their offspring are indeed the key beneficiaries, and therefore they have keen interest in the group's property. Asante women also have the power to control resources such as nourishment, both for the husband and other members of her family. The husband is required to provide meat, such as game and fish, for the woman to cook with. But it is commonly believed that among the Asante, nephews inherit property of their uncles. This view is only partially true and is much more complex than that. In actual fact, nephews are only one group of potential inheritors. Brothers have a superior claim over that of nephews. Thus, the Asante have a saying that Niwaman Saya wafasi enyadie. In other words, if all mother's children are not extinct, nephews cannot inherit. Women have the primary responsibility of ensuring the perpetuity of the lineage of the Ebusua. This characteristic feature grants Asante women very strong position within the Ebusua and also within the society at large. In fact, an Asante woman does not need to marry before she reproduces. Once puberty rites have been performed for her to acknowledge her maturity, then she has every right to go out and have children, although it is considered respectable to offer the hand of such a female in marriage. Next, I want us to briefly look at political decision making, which will quickly usher us into female leadership. The process of making political decisions among the Asante is organized along the lines of matrilineal kinship. In the Abusuafie, that is in the lineage house or the ancestral home, women and men meet in a council where domestic matters are discussed. All members of the lineage are included. After thorough discussion, each decision is taken by consensus. The same is true for the entire village. But in this instance, it's usually representatives from each Abusuafie who is known as the Abusuatre or Abusuapegni, that is the head of the lineage, who goes to represent his Abusua or his lineage. And often the Abusuapegni in this instance is a man. If matters concerning the whole community is to be discussed, then the Abusuapegni goes to present the case or to present the views of his own Abusua. These delegates sometimes can also include the oldest woman in the group. Ordinarily, no decision concerning the entire community may be taken without considerable discussion among the various lineages that constitute the particular community. This means that the delegates who are discussing the matter are not the ones who take the decision. Rather, they are representing the viewpoints from their Abusua or from their lineages. But at the same time, the system is rather complex because it is sometimes it has the underlying. At the same time, there is a hierarchical system that runs alongside this because the ruled and also the rulers, that is the royalty and the commoners. So in spite of there being consensus, at the same time, there is a privileged group. And usually, the privileged group are people who are, the privileged group or the royals have the privileged group are people who have the position by right of birth. Now, very quickly, let me move into female leadership among the Asante. The Akan have both male and female traditional leaders. The female traditional leader is known as the Ohima or sometimes the Obapeni, depending on the level at which she is operating. At a very high level, she's known as an Ohima. At a lower level, she's known as the Obapeni. Obapeni means an older woman, and the Ohima means a female ruler. Now, what are the functions of the Ohima or the female ruler? The female ruler is believed to be the mother of the entire society, and as such, she's supposed to counsel the male leader. Also, it is her right, her responsibility to determine who should be the male leader. Why is this so? Because as the mother of the community, she knows who is a member of her group and who is not. Thus, she determines who should be the leader of the community. Then she also operates as a counselor, even though in public she may not speak. Behind the scenes, she is the power behind the scenes. She advises, and in times of crisis, a council may decide to adjourn And the expression used is, we are going to consult a brewetia. A brewetia means the short, old woman. So they will retire and seek the good counsel of the short, old woman before they come to continue the procedure, even though she herself may not speak in public. She has the responsibility of settling what is called a FISM. There's a fine line drawn between a FISM and a MINSM, that is public affairs and domestic affairs. And she has the sole responsibility of settling domestic affairs. When it comes to public affairs, she may sit down quietly in public, but she is actually the power behind the scenes. She's consulted, and whatever she says is listened to very carefully. Now, I quickly want to go over 4 case studies of female leaders among the Asante. The first one I'll deal with was a female diplomat. The second one was a head of state and a coup maker. The third one was a female refugee leader. And the fourth one was a military leader. Sorry, I've run out of time. It looks like I've been going on for too long. But very quickly, well, but if I have had time to tell you about all these 4 different leaders, the point I would have made was that essentially, female Asante leaders are supposed to promote harmony and balance. And in instances where some women leaders have failed to maintain these principles that create balance, they have brought serious repercussions on themselves. For example, the leader, the head of state who became a coup leader, was actually removed from office, and her entire lineage was proscribed in perpetuity. Then the diplomat who did her work so well, later on became the grandmother of two male rulers. And the refugee leader, as well as the military leader, are also very well remembered in history up until today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wilhelmina. About her, Nyame.
Nyame Nyankopon is the supreme being in the sky. Yes. The female, his, let's say, equivalent principle is Asasiya.
Asasiya. Thank you so much. Now
oh, sorry, I said I thought everybody was on the same wavelength. Asasiya is the Mother Earth. So at the sky and the earth.
I would like to introduce to you Gad A. Is it right? Osafo. He is speaking about Akan healing heritage. He was born in 1945 in Ghana. He is an agriculturalist, engineer for alternative energies, and a healing practitioner. Since 1998, He runs his own practice for alternative healing methods in Unna, Germany. He has had contact with Zongo Mass in Swaziland, was taught by a priestess physician as well as by various herbalists in Ghana and Germany. He gives us his motto: our world is not just what we can see.
Thank you very much. I want to use this opportunity to thank Heidi for this invitation. I'm a very small man. I'm not so highly educated like many of you. I have a humble practice in Unna, and I feel very honored that you included me in these speakers here today. You might have realized that it has not been easy for Mina to present this complex system in our system. Mina took only one of the 17 clans which we have in Ghana. As she said, the Akans are very, very religious, and we use a lot of symbols in depicting this religion or this religious aspect, either on vehicles or, as you can see, we have from, it's not, let's see whether, how does it go up? Up.
Push the button down there.
Which button? There are many buttons. Thank you.
Slide. Okay,
Okay. Yeah. So thank you. A very practical woman. So we use a lot of symbols in, depicting our religiousness and so on and so forth. And as she rightly said, at every function we do this libation before we start. She's talked about the Asantis, and sometimes she's referred to the Akans. Actually, I could have taken a few sheets away from my speech, but that might bring me into a difficult situation. But when I was praying, I said, our ancestors have said, repetition is not a taboo. It's better to repeat so that the people understand than to say it once and think that when I repeat it, they'll think I'm stupid or I forgot. The Akans are found in Ghana and in parts of Ivory Coast, who were separated from each other in Berlin in 1876, when the Europeans met and just put lines there to separate clans which are together. Each clan traces its lineage to a single common ancestress. An Akan is therefore a member of the mother's matrilineage, which consists of all descendants of both gender, male and female, who trace their genealogy through women to one common ancestress. The Akan have a saying, "Wunaba ni wunya," your mother's child is your sister or brother. Every female above a certain age is considered as and called Mame, mother. Therefore, all females are either my sisters or my mothers or my children. We don't differentiate between which child belongs to whom. The Akan is very proud to belong to a big family. Children are therefore well cherished with preference to female children. Also, children are deemed to be the reincarnated ancestors. For these reasons, childless women are not well seen in the clan society. The Akan expresses this in their saying, "Abusuya yedom, wunapa ne wuna, ne wunuya." Family is an army. Your mother's child is your sister or brother. This strong bond through blood. The Akan is introduced to spirituality right from the day it is born. It is given a soul name. This name is according to the day on which he or she was born. Our General Secretary Kofi Annan was born on Friday. If he had been if he had been a female, he would have been called, Efua. So this Kofi is Friday born boy, and Efua is Friday born girl. Each Akan has a totem or two, being either animals or plants, to which the members of the group have a special relationship. The Akan concept of nature. The Akan believe that one's own welfare and the welfare of the family and the clan is intrinsically woven in the harmonious existence within the natural world. Respect and even reverence for the environment is therefore obligatory. Due to this attitude, a dire desire to conquer the natural world or dominate it is not eminent among the Akan. Here you dam your rivers and restrict their movements and so on and so forth. And some time to come, they show us that no, it was their way. And therefore, our science and whatever it is can't prevent them from taking their natural courses. On certain days, land tillage or visiting the forest was forbidden. This was to let Eno Asasiya, Mother Earth, and the spirits of the forest have rest. The Akans have a lot of what you might call taboos. We call them holy orders, because these holy orders are actually intended to protect. A taboo to carry a whole bunch of palm fruits from the forest to the house. One was expected to throw some of the seeds in all cardinal directions before returning home. These orders, as you see, are purely environmental protection measures. It was obligatory for a menstruating Akan woman to separate herself from the rest of the household and live in a fichre outside the house. I spoke to my grandmother, who is now 97 years old, 3 weeks ago when I was in Ghana, and she told me, look, when we are in this situation, all the spirits fear us, the men, because we neutralize everything except that of Onyankomo. And this is what the men have termed as uncleanness or being unclean. But in natural fact, the men originally feared these women who, as I said, have this capability of neutralizing all spiritual powers except that of God. A probable consequence of this taboo is that raping was taken as a very serious act, punishable by ostracizing or even by death. Akan soldiers are on records for abstaining from acts of raping the women in the conquered areas during the many wars the Akans fought. It is a taboo for an Akan male to witness, unless absolutely necessary, the mystical process of child delivery. About 3 days ago, a certain woman told me that today, if a man is not present by the delivery, he's not a man, I think, in this society or something. We Akans, we don't allow that. Other taboos cover personal hygiene, eating behavior, attitudes toward children and elderly persons, murder, adultery, etc. Disregard for such holy orders were seen as a threat to the individual the group in particular, and to human society in general, violations were severely dealt with. The Akan have a strong notion that the spiritual forces are neutral and fair. It is the acts of humans which safeguard harmony or cause disequilibrium. The conception of health and healing among the Akans. The Akan concept of health, illness, and healing is directly based on their view about life. Mina has told us about the okra and so on and so forth, the past from the mother and from father and so on and so forth. So I will just quickly go through to repeat, because repetition is not a taboo. Every individual is regarded as a composite of spirit, sunsun, blood, moja, and a soul, and of course a body. The spirit is said to be acquired through the intro. Actually, intro means in our language also lying, but they say the intro is from the father. I don't know what that means, whether it's sperm or is something else, but we call that intro of the father. It is regarded as the intangible element which accounts for the character, disposition, and intelligence of a person. It can be trained and is therefore moldable. The spirit is moldable. The moja from the mother, according to the Akan, makes a person a human being. Human blood is therefore held in very high esteem. Abrewa Asasiya, grandmother Earth, as a deity, does not like human blood to be shed. This is also one of the reasons why the Akan males are scared of the other gender, who is able to shed her blood periodically over a long period. The soul or kra, which is God's or Unami's part in every individual, is said to be the life-giving element in that person. The slightest dissociation of the okra from the other component leads to disequilibrium. A long period of separation leading to a complete departure signifies death. This is why in shamanism sometimes we do soul retrieval, so that we bring back the soul to the person to have life again. Of prime concern to the individual Akan, therefore, is the position of his soul and spirit in relationship to the world of spirits, the vital forces of life. The fourth component, the nipedria, the body, houses the other parts and gives the visible and touchable form. The Akan has a differentiated relationship to his physical part on the one hand and the spiritual on the other. This is expressed in the Akan saying, I prefer being assaulted physically to being insulted with words. Illness and disequilibrium. As already indicated, the position of the okra, soul, and sunsun, the spirit, in the universe of spirits is of vital importance to the Akan. By virtue of his having a spirit does not automatically make him a member of the world of spirits. He is able to join the world of spirits and be on his own only after his death. Therefore, whilst alive, he is expected to aspire after the closest and possibly best relationship with his soul. This means he should live an exemplary life to gain recognition as an ancestor. In addition, the Akan believes that he or she has not the absolute power to determine the course of his own life. Obediently, everybody is dependent on his physical world and on the spiritual world. And therefore, it is very important that one should be in a disposition to respond to the spiritual influences and powers around you. He is a major actor in safeguarding the natural harmony or causing disequilibrium, disease, malfunctioning in his own system and in his physical as well as spiritual environment. Disequilibrium, as we see, is illness, and other noxious incidents are ascribed to physical and spiritual supernatural causes by the arcana. The physical causes are said to be elements entering the human system through the natural openings of the body, the digestive system, what we eat, through the ears, what we hear, through the nose, whether we breathe good or bad air, through the eyes, especially the things we see. And this is very important for our children, because I think in this society we let our children see too many things they shouldn't normally see. The Akan healers say, Wadina Chidia, and now Wayana Chidia, he has done something or eaten something which is not good for his soul. He's intolerant to this thing, but he has done it. And that is why there is this equilibrium in his own body. Among others, the supernatural causes might be punishment by a deity for violation against taboos, withdrawal of help of an ancestor or other spiritual helper who is dissatisfied with the behavior of a person or persons. The act of a bad witch or a sorcerer or the spirit of a victim of violent death seeking recognition can also cause disequilibrium. And lastly, one's own unwholesome thoughts, desires, and acts can also cause a disequilibrium in us. Prevention and handling of disequilibrium. To prevent and to contain the causes of illness and threats to the individual, family, and clan, the Akan have painfully guarded their healing heritage till present day. The heritage of the Akans is traceable as far back as 4,000 years. In present-day Ghana and parts of Ivory Coast, the Akan healing heritage, alongside with the art of healing of the other ethnic groups, provides health care for over 50% of the population. They are entirely dependent on these traditional healing systems. Otherwise, they don't have any possibility of going to hospitals or clinics and so on and so forth. The Akan traditional art of healing has three basic acts: religion, festivals, and practitioners. Religion. The Akan regard the practice of medicine as the gift of Onyankopon. This gift is believed to be dispensed through the deities, the ancestresses and ancestors, and the other spirits. With this insight, all the various practitioners acknowledge Onyankopon as a vital force working through them. This is expressed in the following saying: if God allows a disease to befall you, He also shows you which medicine you need. It is very important here that a disposition to be able to see, to hear, smell, and feel which medicine is being shown, which medicine is to be used, is therefore of is of paramount importance. And so we should not actually engage ourselves in unnecessary things, but we must always be in a disposition to hear these messages we get, which come to us all the time. They come, we see them, we hear them, but sometimes we are so engaged in other things that we don't see them, we don't feel them, we don't hear them. Festivals. The Akan celebrate about 8 major festivals and a number of minor ones. Some festivals are repeated several times a year. For instance, the Adai festival, which is repeated every 42 days. Others are celebrated annually. During festivals, communal cleansing, purification, thanksgiving to Onyankopon, veneration of the ancestresses and ancestors, and soliciting for help and protection is effected. This heritage of celebrating festival is therefore a religio-spiritual act of group therapy, strengthening the feeling of we, cognatu ergo sum, in the clan. It is a feeling of having people behind you. Miwonipa omechi, I have people behind me, a strong backbone, who, when needed, will carry me like a mother does her child. This is what these festivals are actually meant to be. It gives each individual the essence of life through belongingness to a group. The categories of Akan healing practitioners. Varieties of healing practitioners are found in the traditional Akan society. These are divisible in two categories. These those who practice without invoking supernatural powers, and those who directly apply supernatural aid, whether or not they use material remedies. The first group includes midwives, herbalists, orthopedics, and surgeons. Under the second group are the priestesses and priests as a group, the priestesses and priest physicians as a second group, and then the general practitioner. According to the Akan mythology, Odumankuma Onyankopon, the graceful Onyankopon, and the ancestress and the ancestors first revealed the secrets in the use of words and plants as medicine to women. This was to enhance their ability to increase the size of the clan. This probably explains why the female practitioners in Ghana are in general more efficient than the male counterparts.